it's your girl, Camille B, the HR counselor. I am so excited to introduce to you my buddy, Miss Katrina Strohl. She's a certified career coach and HR consultant. She's also the CEO and founder of Fill Your Cup Services, which I love that name. And she's the host of the podcast, Absolutely Not. Absolutely Not. Okay. Because that podcast, what it does, it provides examples of setting personal boundaries at work. I don't know about y'all, but I love it. All right. Yes. So Miss Katrina, tell me a little bit about your organization, Fill Your Cup Career Services. What made you want to start this organization?
First of all, Camille, thank you so much for having me. I love you and everything about this show. And I hope we're able to dance during this episode because I hope we get it. But my company is based on me being in HR for almost 9 years now and seeing that career development section was always outsourced. And I was like, you know what? I could definitely do that. I could definitely do that for people, especially people that look like me, because I see when people came to HR, there wasn't representation for them to find that career development path. And so I'll be there for them as a resource. I'm also a veteran. So when I was transitioning from the military, I couldn't find any resources that looked like me either, that were labeled veteran services. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I'm just trying to be that resource for anyone who needs it.
I love that. And I totally get it because, I was in the military as well. And this was, 2 years ago. No, I'm just kidding. Many moons ago, back in the day. However, I do recall when I got out, it was a little different. There wasn't a lot of representation, which is unfortunate. But I love the fact that your goal is to change the narrative, right? To make sure that you're able to put a face for individuals that look like you and they can feel comfortable too. Not to say they can't talk to other people, but it's nice to see that, sometimes people feel more comfortable. They're like, wow, I didn't know someone that looked like me could do something like this. So that's awesome. That's awesome. I love it. So with that service, when did you start that? When did that organization come to fruition?
So I was an HR generalist for a manufacturing company. And one day I was One day I was told that I needed to drink more milk because calcium, something about childbirth. This was an old white plant manager. He was talking about my vaginal canal during work. Yes, ma'am. And that's when it hit me. I cannot be here anymore. I just cannot do that. So I looked back on my life and said, when was I the happiest? I did not want to have this conversation anymore. And I walked into my office. I had just talked to my therapist about the issues I was having because, he's a repeat offender. This is not something that happened. That wasn't the first time. So I was writing down the next time he says something like that. I said, Katrina, the next time is today. It is today. It is today. So I walked into his office and said, hey, we need to speak. This is a professional work environment, and I will not tolerate conversation like that anymore. Your female subordinate is over there, and she's going to think that you are capable of having that conversation whenever you feel like it in this environment. No, sir, that's not what we do. I don't want to have this conversation again. Please respect what I just said. And I walked out. That was the first time, Camille, I ever stood up for myself in a work environment. I know it felt so good.
For me, ringing off the top of my head, like number one, the male-female dynamic, right? Mm-hmm. Number two, this person being in a position of authority. Number three, you being an HR professional. Number four, why is my personal parts your business? Number five, there are laws that prevent you from speaking and having those type of conversations. And that's why it's so important for HR professionals to really educate our leaders, right? Because that's our job, to educate them, because more often than none, this is something that he's a repeat offender. This is something he's been doing way before you got there and probably will do it after you have left, right? Because no one has ever, what I like to say, put him in check, check him and let him know that the behavior was unacceptable. And you should not have been employed here. But you know what? You made lemons out of lemonade, right? And so that to me is probably what really kind of pushed you to have your podcast, right? Absolutely not. Because I am so proud of you too, Katrina, because it takes a lot, to go into that office, first of all, sit there, have someone speak to you in a way that you just know is unprofessional, inappropriate, and just downright rude. And then walk out and then come, have a conversation with yourself like we all do, right? And say, this is not okay. And I need to say something. And then have the courage to turn back around and say, absolutely not. So kudos to you for saying absolutely not. And I absolutely love it. Yes. So tell me about this podcast. Yes, because I've been sneaking, I've been watching you now. So what's going on? Tell me about this podcast. Absolutely not. And how it's really helped you to provide examples of, setting those boundaries like you did in the workplace.
So I still have difficulty setting boundaries on a daily basis, whether it's with clients, whether it's with people who are interested in getting my services, even at the grocery store. Sometimes Larry, the cash register, gets the whole book when he should have only got a sentence. Those boundaries that I like to talk about are all around us, but we spend 40 plus hours at work. So that's what my show is about, how to have those difficult conversations with a coworker, with a manager, with somebody in your leadership chain, and making sure that the culture of if the environment that you're in allows those boundaries. Because if you walk into a culture where they've never had boundaries before, honey, it's probably gonna be 2 weeks and you're gonna realize I should have never came here. And that's I'm just trying to inform people of that. I have so many Black professionals lined up on my show, and I'm trying to make sure that I'm raising the voices of Black people, because that's who I see coming to me for career services, and they're having the most issues setting boundaries. Just because our culture, we have learned from a very young age to be very polite, I'll use that word, and just very submissive to people who are over us. But I'm trying to teach people to say, absolutely not. I will not take that type of behavior. And we need to work together so that we can have a better solution so this relationship can continue.
I love that. And I will say this, the caveat is that the people are not over us. You happen to have a position. Our leaders are in a position that, according to their job title and their job grade, is higher than ours. But they not over us. Mm-hmm. They just get to give us directives and mentor us and coach us. So when we think of it that way, that's what I want people, regardless, because women are terrible. I think we, as a gender, we are very, a lot of us are submissive. I won't say all, but we are known to be a little bit more submissive. It's been difficult for women for many, many years to be in the workforce too, right? So we automatically feel like we have to sometimes just kind of go along to get along. And so I love your show, Absolutely Not, because you are telling the next generation of employees coming in, and those of us like myself that are here, that absolutely not. You don't have to go along to get along. Now, I want you to do your job so you don't get fired, but you don't have to allow people to be reckless, because that's reckless with their speech. And I'm from the Bronx, so please don't be reckless with your speech with me, because I'm gonna pray for you, and then I'm gonna be reckless with mine. But I'm gonna say it nicely. I'll be like, please don't do that again. Thank you.
And when you set boundaries like that, it sets a standard. Hey, we have talked about this almost 3 times. I set a boundary about a month ago, and then you'll know, hey, they do not care about me. They do not care about my boundaries. And this is a pattern that is not going to change.
Exactly. So then when with your organization, Fill Your Cup services, and you're providing that career coaching and counseling, and in harmony with your podcast, how do you work with people who they have difficulty setting boundaries? Mm-hmm. As a career coach, how do you help them to set those boundaries?
So I love to say during my sessions, hey, I am a career coach and I have these resources available to me. I know that they're very blended, especially with my podcast, because I'm speaking to mental health professionals there, but that's really not my lane. I try to keep those two worlds separate, because I myself, like I admit every single day, I am struggling with boundaries. So for me to coach you on, hey, yeah, just do this. I mean, I really could, but I'll be honest with you, it's not my lane.
Right. So you're over there. So what you do is you partner with mental health and individuals who are in that profession, licensed therapists, counselors who
License.
are licensed. Yes, let me say that again. Not somebody that read a book and now they think they know, they're over here spreading that word, but instead these are licensed professionals who have gone to school.
Yeah.
And they pass many, many tests.
Yeah.
And so therefore they are licensed professionals. They're able to give you the feedback. And so you provide them the resources when you have clients who may be struggling with this, right? So what is your opinion on this? So we live in a world right now, it's all chaos, right? I don't know about you, but it's definitely heavy on my mind with everything that we're seeing. And so how are you helping people that you coach for success? How are you helping them to kind of navigate and really consider the type of organizations that they decide they want to be a part of in the climate that we're in, to make sure that they have a really good culture fit, because culture is really important.
And so with my clients specifically, I make sure they have clear and specific expectations. When you say, oh, I hope that they're a good culture. What does culture look like to you? If you're Black, do you want a Black manager? Do you want somebody Black in HR? Do you want, what does culture look like to you? Do you want a clear line of communication to your manager and the person above that? Do you want your executive team to have an open door policy? What does your best fit culture look like for you? What type of person are you to begin with? Do you talk a lot? Do you need notes? Do you need directives? Girl, you better be specific with your expectations, because if you're not, then they're going to give you whatever the hell they have. And that might not be for you.
Right. Because once again, you may look at it and say, absolutely not. You like that plug, right? But it's so true, right? Because here we are always, I think too, sometimes we just look at the job, right? And we're like, especially with the pandemic, a lot of people lost their job, unfortunately. And I hope that everyone, out there is, finding and gaining employment again here in the near future. But a lot of people lost their job due to, COVID-19. And so, at times you're like, I got to eat. My family has to eat. I got to pay these bills. And so you may be in a situation where you feel like I may have to take anything. And there are times where you have to do that. But for the most part, sometimes we kind of get to choose. And so for you advise your clients, excuse me, I couldn't think of the word, I'm sorry. You advise your clients to really be specific. And I think that's what it's about, being specific and knowing who you are and what you can and can't accept. And that's why I love the word boundaries, but also I'm a big fan of expectations, right? Because if you know what you're expecting and what you can and can't accept, then you're more likely to find a company that's really, sometimes they fool you now, don't get me wrong. Every now and then you be like, I've been hoodwinked, led astray. But for the most part, you usually do really good because you put in the work, right? So when you're having those sessions with them, you have a checklist that they go off of and you kind of go off of that. Is that what you do?
So in the list, the first thing is, what's your salary range? And a lot of people come to me, from here to all the way in Mississippi. I'm like, no. They're going to give you here. They're not going to give you Mississippi. So we narrowed that down. Then location. Some people don't even think about location. Do you want it to be remote? How are your children? Do you have children? Do you need time to be flexible? Is it okay to be part-time? Do you need benefits? All those things we're not thinking about when we're searching, because it's so easy to click easy apply, easy apply, easy apply. But we need to think about those questions we're going to ask them in the interview and make sure if for some reason their or whatever they're giving out to you does not meet your expectation, you say, okay, no, you don't meet my list. I have a specific list here that me and Katrina made together, and I can't, or she won't like it.
You know what? I like that. Because I like the fact that you have advised your clients to look at their lists and during the interview process, if it doesn't meet their expectations, for them to be gracious enough, however, bold enough to say, you know what? At this time, this opportunity is just not a good fit for me. Kudos to you for doing that, because I have literally, I'm going to call myself out, I have sat in interviews after the second question in my conversation with the individual or individuals, I knew I ain't working for these people. They crazy, or you know what? Something doesn't feel right. But because of, being so polite, and not wanting to offend anybody or set boundaries, I have sat through an hour interview when I knew 10 minutes, 15 minutes, sometimes 5 minutes into the game. Sometimes I knew I wasn't 100% sold when I was scheduling the interview.
And Camille, you wasted your time. You wasted which is valuable.
Very much so.
In a phone interview, I had a manager. She said, "Oh, I have direct communication style." I said, "Okay, what does that mean?" And she said, "Oh, I don't like saying hello in the morning. I don't like asking you how your weekend is." Same face. I was like, "Oh, that is not for me." But I scheduled a second interview. I scheduled a third interview, and you know what, Camille? I hated that job. I hated it. So I'm trying to get people to realize, no, it is for you, whatever you need for you. Before you join their organization, before you be a capable and amazing asset to anybody, you need to be an asset to yourself.
I love that. Capable, amazing asset. Yes. CAA. I love it. CAA. Capable, amazing asset for yourself. CAAF. Look at that. Let's have that. Put that on paper. No, but I enjoy that, because that means that if you know your worth, then you're not going to just go through the motions. And so it sounds like in your career coaching, you're kind of doing a little bit of affirmations with your clients, right? Where you're telling them like, you're great, you're amazing, know your worth. And when it comes to your female clients, do you find that that's something that they're lacking? They're believing in themselves?
Okay. I should have prefaced this conversation with, I will cry over anything, Camille. And that's the whole reason I named my services Fill Your Cup, is because those affirmations I never received. Throughout my entire career, I never received. Throughout my entire life, I've never received those affirmations. And now that I have them, now that they are within me, I'm going to fill every single person I see's cups up. And yes, my female clients are mostly the ones that are more receptive to them. My male clients are like, okay, chill out. Like, but my female clients are very like, thank you so much. I've never heard that in my whole life. Right?
Oh, yes. That makes me sad too. I'm like, oh, but you know what? But I understand why. I think too, and as we're women, right? As women in the workforce, we kind of just we're like worker bees sometimes, right? We're just going. And we feel like we're doing a good job, but we're like, well, maybe, no one's really saying anything, and maybe we shouldn't ask for it. And we don't want to seem like, because people have an opinion of women. So sometimes they think, oh, we're needy, or we're there, so we're that. And we don't want for people to believe that. So instead, we try to just, keep our heads down, just work, and not realizing that it is hard to be the best person and the best employee you can be if there's nothing in the cup. If my water's almost done. Once it's done, I can't keep drinking from, because there ain't nothing there. It's going to be empty. It's going to be empty. And if it's empty, how am I supposed to fill myself back up? Right? So you always need someone pouring into you as human beings, but I would say, especially women, because sometimes we get a really, really tough break. It's really hard to be in the workforce sometimes as a woman. And I'm glad that there's an organization like yours to say, hey, I see you. I see what you're trying to do, and let me help you. But at the same time, absolutely not. Do not allow certain behaviors to transpire. Do not allow certain people to speak to you a certain way. So I have to ask, I have to circle back to this HR issue with this awesome individual that didn't know better, so they didn't do better. When this incident took place with this individual, right? Because I love to say, when they don't know better, they can't do better. As an HR professional, we usually, depending on our role, we have someone in leadership. So in your case, were you able to go to someone in a leadership position and say, hey, this is what just transpired and this is not okay? And then they say, Absolutely not, Katrina. Oh no, I'm going to go talk to them. I'm going to talk to their leader and we're going to get this taken care of immediately because that is not okay. Right? That's what happened, right?
So, long story short, I saw
it didn't happen like that. Okay.
I saw the red flags before I joined this organization, but I joined regardless because I saw that the HR director who would be managing me was a woman of color. So that was my first mistake. I made assumptions. I saw the red flags and did not, I was like, no, it's fine because I have, it's gonna be fine.
And I lie, so to speak, right?
It was not fine, Camille. I immediately went to her after I had the conversation with her. I was so proud of myself. I said, oh, she gonna be happy. She was not. She immediately dismissed all my allegations, said that that man had been with the company for 40 years. He is an experienced individual and we need him here. They actually ended up letting me go about a week later.
Okay, so this is what I'm gonna say on here. And once you put something out in the universe, it stays. We as HR professionals have got to do a better job. Wrong is wrong is wrong. I don't care if they were there since Jesus was a baby. If you commit the crime, you got to do the time. And we have to do a better job in protecting our own. If we have another HR professional come to us with and tell us that something egregious has taken place, we've got to rally behind them instead of saying, oh, it's not, I think you took it out of context. No, you didn't. And I'll say it, shame on that HR professional for not handling it better than that. And yeah, I said it, and who gonna check me, boo? Nobody. Because it's the truth. It's the truth. And this is why people talk about dismantling HR. People don't want to come to HR when there's concerns, and this is probably the realest I've ever been on my own channel. The realest, because I'm just I'm at that point in my life where, what do I have to lose? Some followers, some viewers. Hey, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. And guess what? You're not my cup of tea either. But I love everyone and I wish everyone the best. But if you don't like me, I'm cool with that too. But we have to really have real conversations and stop tap dancing around bad behavior because it's not okay. So I'm sorry that happened to you. Right? I'm so sorry that happened to you, Katrina, because it shouldn't have happened to you and you should have been protected and treated with so much more dignity and respect. But kudos to you for not saying, you know what, this profession is a piece of trash. I don't want to deal with this. I'm out of here. But instead, you took something so horrible and turned it into something so positive and said, absolutely not. I'm going to start a podcast to tell people that the importance of setting boundaries, because I did it. And yes, I know I need to keep doing it, but I can tell people if I can do it, they can do it too. And then what you also did, Katrina, was say, you know what? I want to make sure that when people are looking for employment, that they know who to go to and what they need to do, because you didn't have those things yourself. And for me, that's amazing. And now more than ever, I'm saying more and more women of color, they are stepping out of the box and saying, I'm here. You ain't got to like us, but we ain't going nowhere. Mm-hmm. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. First of all, I smile too much. So where am I going? Absolutely nowhere. I'm always cheesing. I'm always going to grin because I'm alive, I'm alive and we are alive, and that's amazing. And I'm so proud of you because I would have been like, buddy, I'll be right back with my bag. No, I'm just kidding. But no, it's so serious. It's so real. And so, I'm so proud of you for doing this. So what advice, after hearing this madness that we go through sometimes in HR, what advice would you give someone that is crazy enough to want to enter into this profession of ours? What would you tell them?
I would tell them, do not forget why you were so passionate about getting into this field. Because when you move into HR, sometimes you start to see people as numbers or benefits or payroll, and you forget that they're actually human beings. Just like, no, I need you to check this off or do the training, get out. But don't forget that empathy piece and why you got into HR. You got into HR because of people. And if you're not getting into HR because of people, you need to reevaluate, write down your expectations because it's the wrong one. That's another tip. Do not get into HR if you don't like people. Oh my gosh, so many people.
Yes, I had a conversation with someone the other day. We had a conversation about this. Like, what you mean you don't like people? Then you shouldn't be doing this. You're gonna deal. Look, you're gonna deal with people all day long. So absolutely, yes, we really need you to like people. Yeah, you really need to like people to get into this profession. I love it. And so, what do you think is your unique skill that has helped you to be successful and has helped you to kind of step out of your comfort zone? Because I know this was not the first thing that you thought of, right? So what is it, what unique skill helped you to step out and say, I could do this?
I think my unique skill is my yearning to grow. I just want to be the best person, like human being I can be. So I pick up books, I'm reaching out to resources, and I want everyone in the world to be able to be the best human being. I don't care if you're an HR specialist. I don't care if you're a plant manager. Just try to be a good human being and then do your job, make your money.
Yes, yes. Yeah, after that, we could care less after that. Be you, do whatever you want to do. Just be a good person.
Yeah, be a good person.
Just be a good person. What we teach our children, just be a good person. Just be a good person.
Well, some people
So, yes, yes. Unfortunately, you know, it's the world we live in, the world we live in. So I love that. So what's one thing you wish you had known before coming into this profession?
I wish I had known that you don't have to be general. You can be special. Because everybody pushed onto me, be a generalist. Make sure you try to get a generalist role. Make sure you, and then move up the ranks, HR manager, HR. No, if there's something specific in HR that if you like benefits, number crunching, putting in the data, stay there. Go ahead, stay there. It's fine. There's benefits managers. You can move up the ranks that way. But that generalist route is not for everyone. It is chaotic. It is you putting out fires every single day, every single second, every single, and it's definitely not for me. So I can see why it wouldn't be for a lot of people. But I would love for people that are coming into this field to know, realize what your specialization is. And if you have to go the generalist route, if you're becoming an HR assistant, grab hold of that specialization and make sure you get all that you need from it.
Yes, most definitely. Yes, because there's so much, you know, you can do benefits, talent acquisition, HRIS, employer relations, learning and development. Like there's a body of knowledge and you don't have to do it all, because if you do it all, I mean, it's good. My grandfather always would say, you know, a jack of all trade, a master of none, because it's really hard to master all of them. You're juggling so many different, you know, balls in the air, and eventually something may fall. So it's really good. I love the idea of, you know, choosing a specialization. And so finally, where can viewers connect with you online, Katrina?
I am always on LinkedIn. My name is Katrina Strohl on LinkedIn. I have two websites, one for my career services and one for Absolutely Not the Show. So both of them are connected to my LinkedIn profile, and you can find me there.
Awesome. I absolutely love it. And I'm so proud of you for making lemonade out of lemons, because what you went through, what could have easily have been the end of your HR career, but instead you found a way to flip it and make it positive. So for that, I thank you. Continue to be a beacon of light and joy to so many people. And I'm so excited that we've connected and that I've had the opportunity to connect with you. I'm so honored and deeply blessed. So thank you so much, Katrina. Follow Katrina. I'm telling you, you will crack up. I love her LinkedIn post. She cracks me up, but listen to her podcast because she's real and she gets emotional, because at the end of the day, we're all humans and we're going through something. So it's your girl, Camille B, the HR counselor. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.